I would like to welcome each of you to the hearing of the Readiness Subcommittee of the House Armed Services Committee on the new Army Futures Command. Today, the subcommittee will hear from the Undersecretary of the Army and the Commander of the Army Futures Command about the reasons the Army decided to establish a new major command, the most significant restructuring of the institutional Army since the 1970s. Because this new entity will work within the existing Army structure, the subcommittee will be interested in learning how the Army Futures Command will work with other important players in the Army modernization process.
Up to this point, much of the focus and attention has been placed on the selection of the Army Futures Command headquarters. And I understand that the department has selected Austin, Texas. And I know some members may still have questions about the process and the metrics used to make the final stationing decision. Aside from location, as the Army proceeds with standing up Futures Command, the committee has questions on the roles and the mission of this new command. The Army has faced multiple challenges with its efforts to modernize and rebuild the service's full spectrum readiness. Furthermore, the Army's past attempts to change internal policies, command relationships, and organizational structures in an effort to improve the acquisition process has met mixed results. So I look forward to hearing how you believe it will be different this time.
We looked across the entire Army enterprise to put all modernization tasks that generate a warfighting capability under one roof. These tasks include warfighting concepts, requirements, experimentation, and fielding of materiel and non-materiel solutions. By design, this is not your normal Army command. It can't be. To thrive in the information age, we must operate in a fast-paced, dynamic, and evolving ecosystem. We will become comfortable being uncomfortable by partnering with non-traditional actors, operating with a lean organizational design, and sharing a connection to academia and industry that we have never achieved before. This change enables us to address problem solving differently and gain accurate customer feedback by incorporating the best of Army warfighters with the best of American academia and industry. We are confident that Army Futures Command will address our past modernization shortcomings. This command will now drive accountability, provide agility in solution generation, and produce results, ultimately bridging the future and the fielded force.
The world has changed significantly since our current ground combat systems were designed and built in the 1970s and 1980s. The rapid pace of technological change, coupled with the speed of innovation we see in the world today, demand that the Army makes changes in the way we develop and deliver concepts and capability for our soldiers. I fully understand the weight of responsibility that now rests on my shoulders and accept that responsibility without hesitation. The stakes could simply not be higher. I am personally and professionally invested to ensure the future soldiers have the concepts and capabilities they need when and where they need them to fight and win on a future highly lethal battlefield. We simply must change our linear, sequential modernization process to create a flexible, agile, and innovative organization that adapts to a rapidly changing world and evolving threat. This command will provide more than oversight on cost, schedule, and performance. It must also provide value. Value to the American people, value to Congress, value to the joint force, value to our Army, and, most importantly, value to the young men and women that will be defending our ideals and freedoms on a future battlefield.
Parsley, we now proceed to Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard of Hawaii.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, gentlemen. As you're looking at what the Futures Command is taking on, how are you assessing the personnel needs, what skills, educational background, and experience that you'll need to bring these teams together, and where do you plan to build them from?
I'm relying pretty heavily on the gentleman sitting to my right. So this will be a very non-traditional, and I like to tell people I walked into, I think, my first meeting here in Crystal City because of the status of the headquarters down there, and I was very comfortable because there was a lieutenant colonel wearing a combat infantryman's badge and a ranger tab, and then I quickly found out that he's a operational research specialist with a PhD in data analytics. So that's the type of skill set we're looking for. We were very close to hiring a chief technology officer that Mr. McCarthy can talk about, but he is a leader in the field. I'm experts in the area of artificial intelligence, machine learning. So this will be a very non-traditional to what I'm used to walking into. And if I've been successful in my career, it's because I think I've been fairly successful finding the people with the right talents to surround myself with that can help me make the right decisions over time.
If I could expound on that, ma'am. So if you look at the three major pillars that make up the command, futures and concepts, combat development, combat systems, futures and concepts is kind of where you look at the skill sets of the skunk works and net assessment, which we have in the department. We need to be thinking about our operational design in future years, as well as leaders that understand future technologies. So being in the proximity of an ecosystem filled with entrepreneurs, we look to either hire these folks organically or as a consultant basis to help us understand what technologies are out there that could affect our operating concept to make us more lethal. So those will be research scientists, people of that nature. The combat development, to the point that General Murray made before about a chief technology officer, we are recruiting a dean of a very prestigious engineering school to be his chief technology officer, so have someone who's world-class in systems engineering to help us look at our architectural designs, because like the programs I mentioned before, future combat systems and others, a lot of that was the systems architecture associated with the weapon system. So if it wasn't clean on the operating concept and we didn't have a clean architectural design, that's why we had catastrophic failures. A lot of this talent had been divested from the department over the last couple decades, so we're out recruiting people with those types of skill sets. And to General Murray's, one of his primary tasks of building this technical bench, as well as world-class warfighters like the ones he's got in his senior leadership team.
Ma'am, if I could just add part of this also is harnessing the talent we already have. So identifying and harnessing talent that exists in a lot of the organizations that will fall under me pretty soon.
Are you looking at all in the Guard and Reserve and folks who may be doing this job already in their civilian sector?
I have a good tie into the Army National Guard, and I have a one-star general officer that's really a direct liaison to the entire department in the National Guard. And then in direct support to me is an organization called the 75th Innovation Command out of Houston, Texas. It used to be the 75th Training Command. And I've met with the two-star commander that is in direct support to me, and he has some amazing talent that he's harnessing all over the country.
A couple of the officers that are going to serve on our artificial intelligence task force are coming from the reserves. They're really going to be the nucleus of that organization in particular.
And then my last question is just about the technical oversight for your command in making sure that the investments that are being made are actually achieving realistic goals and objectives and realistic timelines, the things that you're setting out as are very clearly your objectives. Where will that kind of technical oversight come from?
Primarily from the chief technical officer and the resources I align with him. So, before you establish a timeline, it's good to have a good understanding of what is reasonable. And be honest with you, I can't do that by myself. So it's really the people I hire, the people I surround myself with, get multiple opinions from outside agencies, independent assessments before we launch down a path to where we're committing resources against something we can't achieve.
Thank you.